Monday, February 24th, market analysis. Stan Ehrlich, good morning. Well, I start out with the stock indexes and go to futures and sometimes, other stuff like cycles and philosophy of trading, psychology, I should say, of trading, and a variety of other subjects. But right now, we're looking at, after my YouTube on Friday, a further decline of substantial amount. And it ended up today, so far this morning, making lower lows again. Now, the lows we saw this morning are almost, in some cases, the lowest price for the whole month of February. Came very close to making a new low for all of February. Now, the E-mini is holding up a little bit better than others, but still coming down. Now, the current quote is up 1.5 points. This is after it went down a few points this morning and got very, very close to oversold. So we're now approaching very quickly, all of a sudden in about 1 to 2, 3 days, oversold conditions. And in some cases, we are flat out oversold on the daily data charts. And therefore, at any moment, we could have a bounce of some modest amount, which may have happened this morning already. I think there's a good chance of that. So I'm not expecting too much of a bounce, and it could have happened already. Let's look at the 5-minute chart. After, my YouTube was approximately, around this price level Friday, when we had a low at the time of 6087-ish, and it had bounced and started to come down a little bit. And then after my YouTube, we crashed a lot more than doubled the net lower on the day amount, and actually challenged lows and stopped for the weekend. This morning opened, rallied a little, nothing particularly significant, and kaboom. Now we're bouncing again, and I think there's a decent chance of another kaboom on the downside, but it might take a day or two to get over Friday's big decline and then head lower. Now, the spider is essentially the same story, but the difference basically is the E-mini trades 23 out of 24 hours a day, and the spider is only 6.5 hours a day from 6:30 California time until 1 o'clock California time. So the charts look a little different, especially, of course, on the short-term charts like hourlies and half hour and 5 minute, 1 minute, that kind of thing. So a little bit of a bounce at the moment. I don't think it's going to go up very far, very long, and make new lows probably this week easily. And who knows, maybe even yet today. Spider, same story on the 5-minute data chart. We broke a significant amount of support levels and have more to go. QQQ, new low since almost the beginning of the month, and trading lower on the day at the moment. So it's holding up with the NASDAQ futures, the best of the indexes, the ones that are dropping the most of the Dow and the Russell we'll get to in a moment. And here's the 5-minute data on the QQQ. Holding up, so-so. I should drag the support area all the way over to here and make it drop right about like where it was. That's good. And yep, I think this is going to get broken very soon. I'll raise that up a little. That's about right. So NASDAQ futures, lower on the day, made new lows almost for the full month of February this morning, but bounced off of the February lows a little bit. I don't think it's going to hold. I think it's going to get broken, all of these lows this week, and maybe much quicker later today, tomorrow. Next, we've got the NASDAQ 5-minute chart. As you can see, just after testing resistance at the top for a whole week, frustrating time frame, all of a sudden in a half a day and a follow through today, you've got all the support levels, or a lot of them, being broken. So now they're resistance above the market instead of support below, adding to the likelihood that we're going to see a stair-stepping down market for a bit. Remember, in the other indexes I've covered already, we do have some potential double tops. And I'll get to that in the future days, and I've already covered it quite a bit in the past couple of weeks. But it's a lot lower, like this particular chart, the YM, which has a sell signal at the high day, January 31, we got a red bearish engulfing ER sell signal. And now we've got new lows since then. And that was yesterday. And we officially got oversold on Friday. And we tested Friday's lows, bouncing a little bit, still oversold. Maybe it'll bounce a little bit more. I think at best 44,052, right in there, if it can get there in the first place, and head south. Next chart is simply the 5-minute YM Dow futures. Yep. I don't trust this bounce. I think it's going to be short-lived. I think we're going to see new lows very soon. Russell, almost new lows going back to September. September, October, November, December, January. That's 4 months plus, basically 4.5, 5 months. Quite a substantial amount of time. Now, that was almost a low for 5 months, bounced off of the lowest low, which was on January 13th. And when that's broken, we'll be making new lows for 5, 6 months. So I do expect that soon. Then I'm going to forecast 2114 for a possible significant bounce, the bottom of a major historical support area. I'm not looking for a major bear market here. All of these indexes are looking for, at the moment, a test of support for the last couple, 3, 4 months. But the double top formations could predict something else if we start breaking out of the double tops. Got to keep that in mind. This move down, we just started basically on Friday, really, could last 2 to 4 months. Next, Russell, 5-minute chart, wiped out all the recent lows. Now bonds, new high, short term, exactly what I want. Head and shoulder bottom, still good. Minimum upside objective, 117.5. Getting closer to making a new high above the high, which was close already at 117 on February 7th. Yeah, February 7th. So I think we're going to test that, break that, get to my minimum objective of 117.5, and keep going up to probably 118.5. And I don't rule out at all 120.5. I think we're going to probably do that. Now remember, here we have a 1.5 year potential broad double bottom formation, which actually has, for the big formation, an objective of 146 almost. Yep, long-term bull market may have started. And the last low was a bullish engulfing ER buy signal on the exact low day, January 14th, plus the fact that I outlined and showed you for weeks that we had a trade at the exact tick low of the day, the next trading day, January 15th, which was 110.30. We bought the low on the opening the day after the green bullish engulfing signal. Perfect. Next. 10-year notes coming along just like bonds, doing pretty darn good. Like what I see. I'm looking for somewhere around 11, 11.5, 11, maybe even a little higher. But that's just the first stumbling block. If we get overbought and we reach that area, I would expect a short-term minor, few days, week or two, downside correction, and then higher after that. This double bottom looks even better by far and away than the bond double bottom about the same time frame, 1.5 years, and its upside objective. For some reason I lost the marker. Okay, I'll do it real quick. should be take the highest high and come down to the average of the two lows, which is right about, oh, I don't know, right here. That's good. That's good. And this is the measuring stick. It should be vertical. Okay. And then take that and from the highest point, measure upwards. And you've got an upside objective 124 and a half for 10-year notes. Next chart, crude oil, minor new low, still on the same angle. I still think this is trying to bottom out, but obviously a new low doesn't show you that. But it's the way it's doing it. There's no real fast decline. It's on a little support line across the bottoms here. That could be construed as the bottom of a downward slanting channel, for example. And I'll draw it in for you. Let's do this and drop the end here. That's good. That looks very good. And do we have a parallel top? Well, not really. So all I've got is a little bearish support line. Bearish because it trends down, support because it comes down to it and bounces off of it so far. And it's got several points. So I cannot abandon my expectation that this is trying to build a bottom. Next, heating oil, sideways trading range, tried to make a higher high, didn't do it. Now back into the middle of the range, could easily dribble off to about 2.32 and maybe even a little lower than that, 2.29. Otherwise, I've got nothing here. Maybe we're going to see a continuation of this uptrend, which started back in September. Not too convinced about that at the moment, but I barely favor the upside, just a little bit. Natural gas, definitely favor the upside. Looks to me like this technical correction is doing exactly what I would expect. I talked about it topping out the last couple, 3 days because of it getting to the top of the resistance area in overbought conditions, and it closed a little higher on Friday than Thursday's close. But look at the highs, the stopping at the resistance. It's overbought yellow last 4 previous days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week. And here we go, kaboom down. Now there's a gap here. So this gap should be closed, and it could even be today, but in the next, I don't know, couple, 3-4 weeks maybe, because I think it's going to go down more first and then turn around and come back, close the gap, and keep on going up. So gaps are almost always closed. They're like a black hole in space. They tend to suck the price action back into the gap. So that's my little saying about gaps. And it works pretty well. This old gap here got closed almost completely, but not quite. And we might even come down to finish that all the way down to here before it turns back up, although that's a bit of a stretch. I'm more likely to say at this point 3.7. Yeah. Next, gold. Bearish engulfing didn't work. We did make a higher high a couple, 3 days later, but it still looks like it's trying to top out, in my opinion. Now, this could be a short-term top, not a big one, because the head and shoulder bottom that we did have, and I'm not going to call it that. Sorry, that's not true. It would be a pennant formation. Broke out very classically on January 16 and has a minimum upside objective of 3011 up to about 3116. And I do think those objectives are going to be fulfilled. But we may have a correction down first. Next chart, silver. Got overbought, punched way above resistance, but didn't hold it at all. Came way back down, and the high day then at this point, and I need to get my cursor back for some reason. Crosshair, good. Couldn't make any new highs. Couldn't break out of the resistance area. That was Thursday of last week, and now is at the bottom of the trading range, resistance, support, resistance area, and bouncing off of it for the moment. But I think there's a little bit more downside correction likely before it continues to head higher. Now, I do see the possibility of some very large top here, and I'm not going to go into that yet because it's too premature. But if we were to have something over here in a month or two, then I'd be screaming head and shoulder top. But this seems to be at the right price, but too soon. So there's a chance that we just made a last shoulder high, but I don't think so yet. Okay, platinum. Resistance stopped the rally, got overbought, and we have a new low again. Like almost every day last week. Almost every day, except for Thursday last week. It was a new low. So we're coming down. We're getting close to oversold. We're getting close to a support area starting at 957. And we could even get down all the way to 907, that big support zone. There's also some interesting stuff happening around 935 for support. Next, and I'm bearish, obviously, high grade copper, new low again. We got the exact high day, classic bearish engulfing, and I'm putting a little marker on there. I forgot to do that on the copper signal, and there we have it. Now, in support, held for 4 days, didn't get much of a bounce at all. I'm expecting bottom to be tested very soon this week, 4.45, and probably down to 4.36. I'm not ruling out 4.32. In fact, we're going to bottom out, I think, below 4.32, maybe all the way to the bottom of this great big support area, which happened to be in August and September of last year and November of last year and most of December and a little bit of January for 3 days. So that really is the ultimate support going down to 4.08. So I'm bearish and I'm not anywhere near oversold. So elbow room to go down more right away. Next, grains, soybeans. I really want support to hold. It's slipping a bit this morning. I don't want the support to get broken. If it is broken, I'm expecting, I don't know, 1030 to hold. Then it's highly likely that around 997 or a little under 1000 is going to hold. And if that does not hold, well, we have a different story, probably. But this is, I think, in the process of building a long-term bottom in all the grains. Corn is well on its way, and soybean oil is not doing too bad. And here's soybean oil. Last week, it made a new high since November. Good. The triple bottom formation or a broad double bottom, either one's going to give you the same upside objective, is in the ballpark of 61.5. And we're at 46. So in my mind, it's a matter of where it bottoms out and when and starts to head back up, and I'll try to pinpoint that for you. My first educated guess is 44.5, and maybe 44.14 is a little more accurate, but right in there. And coming up very soon, next few days, maybe a week and a fraction at the most. Next, soybean meal. At support, concerned about this. If it breaks down, it'll be the first one to show a lack of holding ability and doing possibly some damage to the long-term triple bottom formation that we've got developing in soybean meal so far. If support holds, then it's a matter of breaking above the various resistance levels we have in the last 1, 2, 3, 4 months. We'll talk about it if it starts to happen. Right now, I'm concerned about the support holding. Next, corn. Head and shoulder bottom, past tense worked. I got all the way, where's my marker? Oh, there it is. We got all the way to the minimum upside objective, and that completes the formation. And that happened back here on January 17th. Wait a minute. I got to adjust this line also. And that's good. And I'm sorry, that happened on January 23 in overbought conditions. From that point, minor correction down, new highs to the move, and now a 2-day correction, nowhere near oversold, could come down a little bit more, but the longer term situation seems to be up. Well, I think it is, and it's going to continue. So I am looking eventually for new highs. Therefore, my job at the moment is to try to peg for you the bottom of this short-term downside correction. Wheat, almost the exact same story as corn, making new highs for a very nice period of time last week, and that is since late October. That's good. November, December, January, and now, yes, 3.5, 4 months new highs. Got overbought, pullback, fine. Probably not going to come down too much more. 580 looks reasonable. Maybe even a little bit lower than that. 566 looks interesting. Next, cattle. Well, there's a chance it hit a bottom, but I don't think so yet. I didn't get oversold. There's no support of any consequence. A little bit. I think it's going to stab itself down one more time to 191, 192. Next, hogs. Minor new low this morning, getting close to oversold. It might slow down its decline. It hasn't hit support quite yet, and I think we're going to see 86.9, 86.9, and maybe to the other lows, 85.5, and that last significant major low, January 8th. But there's a lot of support still underneath the market. Okay. The one stock that I've been following for a long time, a few months now, crashed on me on Friday. This was totally unexpected. Support obviously didn't hold, but again, I've got to point out, very much so in stocks in particular, but also commodities, that this gap, now I'm going to put a rectangle around the price range, and off into the future a bunch. So I think is going to get filled, and it may take now a few weeks to maybe a month or two of fiddling around, developing support, and then starting to head north. Now, since we're severely oversold, trading around 8 single digits in the RSI, my custom RSI, I do expect it to turn around and start to rally almost immediately. Today could be the low day. I can't tell yet. But once I see these extreme low numbers on RSI, I start screaming bloody murder. This thing's about to turn up. We should be very close to the low price and very close to the low minute. Next, the E-mini again. Looks like it may have dribbled off a little. No, in fact, it came back up slightly. You know what I'm thinking. Rally maybe a little more. Not going to hold. Expecting it to turn down. Maybe yet today, but probably this week and make new lows. You guys have a great day and profitable trading to you.